The mother of the woman killed during a counter-protest this summer in Charlottesville, Virginia, says she supports the upgraded charges against her daughter's accused killer. I'm going to show you the video. I want to warn you, it is graphic. Heather Heyer was part of this group protesting a far-right Unite the Right rally when she was hit and killed by a car driven by James Fields. Her mom spoke to CNN about what she's now encountering since her daughter's violent death, and it includes threats against her family.
There have been threats in the past. If there are threats coming out currently, people are not telling me. At one time, the FBI was letting me know when there were threats, and we, from time to time, get hate mail at the office, time to time on our email. Those I pretty much ignore, but I keep a more watchful eye than I would have otherwise. Yeah. Usually it'll be along the line of I wish more of those had been killed, and she shouldn't have been there in the first place. She was obviously walking down the street, throwing urine and carrying a baseball bat and smashing windows, and none of those are true. She wasn't even walking down a street. She was on a closed-off section of the downtown mall.
Heyer's parents have said Heather had a passion for justice and helping people. Another headline out of Charlottesville to tell you about. A KKK leader is also facing charges following those protests. Prosecutors say Richard Wilson Preston fired a gun into a crowd of protesters. Some Charlottesville residents were upset when KKK members showed up to support Preston in court. But there were two people that came together to try and find common ground. Sarah Seidner reports.
Do not come into our city and try to rewrite history.
In Charlottesville, emotions are raw, tensions still high. 4 months after hate turned into homicide here, members of the Ku Klux Klan showed up and were confronted outside court. They're here to support a member of the Klan who did this. Also in court, James Fields, the man accused of driving his car into a crowd, killing young protester Heather Heyer in August, and the man who brought the white nationalist Unite the Right rally to Charlottesville.
You can't do anything in this town.
But in the midst of those trying to scream down hate, a rare occurrence.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Daryl Davis, a blues musician, and an imperial wizard of the Ku Klux Klan agree to meet and find common ground.
As Americans, your Confederate history is as much a part of my history as my black history is a part of yours.
Sure it is.
And it's time that we got to know one another.
You're exactly right.
So how do we convince these people to say, hey, look, you know, we can spend all our life arguing, or we can move forward?
You know as well as I do, my organization has a bad history.
But their meeting wasn't welcomed by some.
Let me ask you a question.
No, do not ask me a question about racist.
Well, then you have no solution then.
Davis says he does and has the KKK robes to prove it.
44, 45.
Wait, how many robes have you gotten from the Klansmen?
About 44, 45. And Klanswomen.
And Klanswomen?
Correct.
Who have said what?
They're done. As a result of meeting me and having these conversations, not overnight, but over time.
For more than 30 years, Davis has been on a mission to change minds, especially of those who would rather see him dead. He was drawn to Charlottesville, in part because he says the Unite the Right rally was not about saving Confederate statues.
The reason they were there was to initiate the first steps of a race war.
Surprisingly, Klan leader Billy Snuffer agreed wholeheartedly.
A lot of them were not here for the statue.
No, they were here to cause trouble.
They were here to cause a race war.
That's exactly right.
A descendant of slaves trying to make inroads with the Virginia Klan leader. A chance at change they know will be a long road.
Do you understand what her concern is at all? Do you see anything?
Slavery was wrong.
Slavery was wrong.
It was wrong, regardless. Okay. But there were white slaves too. You don't never hear about that.
It's complicated. No, it's not complicated.
You don't never hear about the white slaves.
And with that last sentence, Imperial Wizard Snuffer used a tactic that is employed by racists to try and equate somehow the hundreds of years of institutional, generational slavery forced on black people with what happened to the Irish here in America when they had to suffer through indentured servitude. But none of that phases Daryl Davis. His philosophy is, when the conversation ceases, there is fertile ground for violence and hatred. Sarah Seidner, CNN, Charlottesville, Virginia.
A remarkable report, Sarah. Thank you for that.